Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Umana, and I'm a nursing student in the Lama State University. And I'm here to talk about a disaster preparedness and recovery for the elderly aggregates of the community. Number one thing to do during a disaster, when it's regarding to the elderly aggregates of the community, is for you to gather your belongings. For those who are faced with a chronic disease situations, um, you can go ahead. If you're not sure, you can go ahead and contact your nurse and try to get information on what to do. A nurse, a community health nurse, will probably tell you what I'm about to tell you now, and that is to gather your most essential, the goods and the properties that you need, your belongings that you need, uh, that are immediate, that are classified as under your immediate needs. That would be like basic things like food, ID cards, um, number of your phone number, phone contact of your loved ones, so that you can contact them in case, just to get everybody's worries down. Um, Talk to your family, your friends, neighbors about how to prepare for and respond to emergencies. Talk to your community health nurse. Your neighbors will probably give you uh, an update if there was any news of any disaster or hurricane that is a warning that has come up. Uh, Number two, you can go ahead and get look at the list of your resources given to you by your community nurse or from friends and family members. Choose a resource center or a help center, emergency center that you can that one should be close to your house, close to your neighborhood, and one should be outside your neighborhood. The one that is in your neighborhood or in your areas or side of town would be like if you were had had a case of fire as a disaster, like fire in your house. You can always go to that particular shelter that is around your surroundings. But then, in case of a disaster that is caused by a hurricane or something else that is going to be very massive, then you can you know where to go. You're going to some shelter that you picked, probably two or three different shelters that you had picked, and that's going to be outside your community, away from the disaster impact of the disaster. The third thing to do would be to store your emergency contacts. Make sure you know where to store them in your phone. Um, you can also store them in a little booklet where you store your address and information, handwritten, and that will really help because then it's all there at your fingertips to where uh, you can refer to in case of an emergency. Remember, in an emergency situation, you are going to be in a panic mode, and in a panic mood, human beings are not they don't think right. You will be so panicky, you will be full of anxiety, and you will not be able to think. But if you have all these things outlined or written out somewhere where you know where to go in your booklet, in your phone, you will know, oh yes, this thing is on my phone, and you get it. And it's going to be very quick. It's going to kill your anxiety, and that will really help. Knowing the resources available at times of disaster is very, very important because, for instance, if you had a hurricane coming and you were unable to evacuate, on your own or your family members who are not close by, you can always call 211, or you can call other agencies. The Red Cross can help evacuate you. The 211 system in Texas can help evacuate you as well. Um, Remember when you call any of these agencies for evacuation, remember to tell them of any disabilities that you have, so that they will know, send down the appropriate transportation to that will accommodate your situation. Some elderly people, aggregates of the community, are faced with very severe disease process. For instance, somebody who has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease will always need oxygen at all times, and that is going to be something that you have to have at all times while you are in transportation and wherever shelter you're going. Uh, that oxygen tank or concentrator has to be available, so you have to assess those facilities beforehand, before time, in order to know if these equipments will be available out there. Another thing to do that will kill some of your worries is to consider your insurance. Your residual policy may not cover damage caused by a disaster in most cases. Damage from flood, earthquakes, or tsunami is not covered by your homeowner's insurance policy. I'm sure many times they're not covered. So a separate policy. You might think about getting a separate policy, policy that is required to cover this. Learn what you need to do with your pets. That is number 6. Some family members, some of these elderly aggregates have pets, and they are very in love with their pets. You have to plan before time. Your pets have to be evacuated with you. So the accommodation here is very has to be planned before time. Accommodation during transportation, accommodation while you are in your shelter. Remember, the shelter is it's going to be a very crowded place. You may not be very comfortable there. Your pets may be all nervous seeing a lot of people. So there has to be accommodation to be able to take care of your situation. There has to be equipment to be able to accommodate your pets out there. To practice a disaster drill is very effective, because when you practice those drills at least once or twice a year, and you go over the steps, those drills will help you. It will also help in reducing your anxiety. You might not even have any anxiety or stress on that day, in case of a disaster, because you know exactly what to do from your drill. So you will just go ahead and do it. It might be a phone call. It might be getting up and getting in your car. You know what items you need at that time to take with you. And a drill is a very effective way of coping with a disaster warning or this impending disaster. You can during the drills, you can also map out your escape route, where to go, and the things you can get from the store, like very quickly before leaving. Your kids, it could be, kids are already packed in the bag anyway. Your personal belongings, your photo ID, credit cards, they are very most essential, besides your medication, which you always going to have in a bag ready to go. Equipments, medical equipments that you need, inhalers and all that, to help you while you're going. Whatever supplies that you get, make sure it is going to keep you is going to be enough to keep you for 3 days, at least 3 days. Don't take anything less than 3 days, because sometimes you can disaster can keep you out there longer than that actually. So have enough supplies from food, medication, equipments, clothings. Have enough that is going to keep you for at least 3 days or more. Okay, let's go back and summarize what we just some of the things that we just said. Um, I'm going to give a little scenario here. Uh, Elderly people and elderly aggregates of the community, coming to think of, okay, we take somebody that is, okay, somebody that is diabetic. You cannot live without checking your blood sugar. You cannot live without your insulin or glycemics, your medications that you're taking for your sugar. You can't stay without it, and you those are very essential things. Actually, those things should always be in a bag prepared to go. Look at a situation where you went to the shelter, your proper diet wasn't given to you, and your blood sugar spikes. Remember that blood sugar, when it spikes, you're putting stress on that kidney, and then it can cause complications that cannot be reversible. Um, I mean, reversible or irreversible, it's not good to have complications from something that you know you could have avoided. So it's not worth taking a chance. You have to be ready. Resources are available for help before, during, and after the disaster. One of them is the Red Cross. There are websites. If you Google on the computer, there are websites you can go to. It will give you a list of these resources. There's a resource. Red Cross is a very popular one. The 211 system is very effective also. We have the Salvation Army. I have seen those. I've seen the Red Cross and Salvation Army in action, and they prove to be effective too. They provide food, transportation, and they can evacuate you at any time. Uh, develop a strong relationship. Developing a strong relationship, like I said earlier, with your neighbors is good. You also have to develop a strong relationship and partnership between public health agencies, services for aging, emergency responders, and other entities before disaster strikes to improve coordination, communication, and response in emergency situation. Financial preparedness is the last thing I'm going to talk about, because financial preparedness is essential. After the hurricane, you're going to need some money to take care of yourself in the actual sense. So, to prevent a natural disaster from becoming a financial catastrophe, take the following steps. Stockpile savings, an emergency fund where 3 to 6 months worth of savings are a key part of any household financial plan. It is also important in an emergency. Funds that you can draw on a quickly and easily basis can be a lifesaver in the wake of a natural disaster. And with this, I have come to the close of end of my session, and I hope you took you were able to learn from from my session. And thank you. God bless.